Hello, and welcome to this class on Buddhism. I'll be your professor. My name is Dr. Kirk Sandvig, and this video will serve as an opening not only for our class, but also giving you a chance to see what I'm expecting of you for the entire semester. So it's really important that you pay attention to this lecture and follow along in your syllabus, because this will really kind of set the tone for what you should be doing for the semester. So without further ado, I want you guys to open up your syllabus and we'll go through it. The first thing that I want to talk about is my office hours. I am available, so please use me. You can call me by phone. I've left my phone number on there. You can also text me, you can email me, or if you'd like to meet in person at any time in the semester, please just set up an appointment and I'd be happy to meet up with you. There's a lot of assignments in this semester, not too many, but there's quite a few. And if there's any kind of question or you're having difficulty with any of the assignments, particularly any of the writing assignments, and you'd like to discuss any of them with me, I am more than willing to help you out. So please, feel free to contact me. But there's a little bit of a caveat in there. Now, if you notice on the syllabus, right underneath where it says my phone number, I say, please do not call or text after 5 p.m. Now, I do that with a bit of history behind that. Before, I didn't really have any kind of conditions under when you guys could contact me, and I had people contacting me at 10:30, 11:30 at night, and my wife said, not gonna happen anymore. So I want to make sure that I'm giving enough time for you guys to have your time and enough time for me and my family to enjoy ourselves as well. So that's why after 5 p.m. I'm going to ask you guys to respect my family time and don't expect a response right away. You feel free to text. Well, maybe not text after. I don't want to have text messages in the evening at 10 o'clock at night, but feel free to send me an email in the afternoon. But just realize that I probably won't get back to you until the next day. I try to get back to everyone within 24 hours, and if I don't get back to you within 24 hours, you might want to send me a text message just to kind of check in on me, because sometimes things fall through the cracks. I don't want that to be you. If it's important, I want to be addressing it as soon as possible. So feel free to contact me, but please be aware of some of my family boundaries I want to make sure that I maintain. Now, if you do want to meet up with me, I do have office hours that's available by appointment. My office location is in the Arts and Letters room, room 664. So it's on the top floor of the Arts and Letters building. If you go all the way up to the top and you go all the way to, after you get off the elevator, you take 2 rights, it's all the way down pretty much at the end of the hallway. It's going to be on the left hand side there, so you should be able to find me there. Now let's get into what we're going to be talking about for this semester. This course, shouldn't be a surprise to you, is going to be talking about Buddhism. And so Buddhism, we're not just the philosophical and religious side of Buddhism, we're also going to look at the historical aspects of Buddhism. How did Buddhism shape and develop from one period of time to the next? How did it move from Nepal to India to China to Korea to Japan to all these places around the world, and what adjusted within the Buddhist mindset as it started moving from one context to the next? What are some of the shifts and patterns and thinkings that happen within each different subgroup or sect or school of Buddhism? And we'll talk about that throughout the entire semester. So that's what this class is going to be about. Some of our course objectives. Not only are we going to be looking at the fundamental ideas of Buddhist thought and practices, but we're also going to look at the development of Buddhism as expanded throughout the area, throughout the world, and then identify some of the key themes that emerge from the study of the traditions that we talk about in our lectures, as well as in our readings, and as we kind of write about some of these information. Now this class has a lot of writing assignments in it, so I want to make this clear that There's going to be a high expectation of written communication in this class. Being an online class, sometimes that's going to be where we're going to focus all of our attention on, is how you're going to understand the material and how I'm going to grade your understanding of the material. So a lot of it will be graded through the written assignments, and yes, there will be tests along the class as well, but a lot of your grade will be based off of your written material. And this will also be analyzed, and you can see that in the 5th point here. Some of the discussions that we'll be talking about, this will be a written discussion about how some of the important ethical as well as other main concepts and themes that will be talked about within Buddhism, how are they going to be addressed, how they're going to be sussed out, and these will be sussed out largely through written material and research. So I want you guys to be aware of all that. That's what I'm expecting out of you guys. Now, let's go over some of our course texts. The first is our course reader. Now, I've put together a number of readings. Some of them are some really interesting books that kind of talk about not only the history and development of Buddhism, but also what's happening in Buddhism today. I've also got quite a few articles that I enjoy that really get you to think in a critical aspect of Buddhism. And these readings throughout the semester will only help to enhance what we talk about in the lectures. The readings themselves can be a bit dense, so keep that in mind. But I want to give you guys the opportunity to go in a lot of detail and a lot of depth within the concepts and within a lot of the themes that we talk about from week to week. So these articles and these readings that I have outlined throughout the entire semester will allow us to get really deep into the material. Now, another book that I want to highlight is a book by Thich Nhat Hanh. It's The Heart of the Buddha's Teachings. Now, this is a book that I was assigned when I was an undergraduate taking a class on Buddhism and Asian philosophies. And I tell you, there's a lot of books out there that I kind of just take, rent, and then give back. This is not one of them. This is something that I continue to go back to. And I encourage you guys not just to rent this book, but buy this book. It's really cheap. You find it on Amazon or wherever. Find it and read through it. It's a really, really useful text that can allow us to really start thinking about what the true message of the Buddha was and is, and how it lives on in all of our lives today. And I really hope you guys enjoy this. I've had it for 20 plus years, so I encourage you guys to get that book, and it'll be helping us understand many of the concepts in a more intimate way throughout the semester. I also want to encourage you guys to make sure you get the course workbook. So this workbook here, this will really help you with the tests and the quizzes throughout the entire semester. I encourage you, when you're reading and when you are, and particularly as you are watching the videos, take notes, because many of the questions that are in the tests and in the quizzes are in the back part. The heart of what this workbook is all about has sample questions, and I pretty much pull word for word, for the most part, from this workbook and put them in our test. So I encourage you guys, please, I know it's required already, but a lot of people just choose not to. Buy the workbook. It'll really help you out, and it will really help your grade improve in this class. So make sure you get those 3 texts. Those are my required readings. Now, there will be other readings that you'll have to do on your own, and those will be particular to the assignments that we have throughout the course. So let's get into some of our assignments. The first assignment that I want to talk about are the mini essays. Now, these are short essays worth about 30 points each, and I'm looking for approximately 500 words. I actually want not fewer than 500 words. It's a very short and concise way of kind of getting your message across very clearly and succinctly. So I'll have 5 different points of discussion that I'll have a prompt up there on the assignment, and I want you to consider the prompt, answer the prompt, and do some research to help substantiate your claims, substantiate your points. The themes will vary significantly throughout the semester, but they'll be reflected on some of the readings that we would cover in the class. So make sure you look at the prompts on Blackboard through Turnitin. And one thing that I want to make sure it's really clear for you guys, I'm expecting at least 2 peer-reviewed sources. At least 2 peer-reviewed sources. Now, what do I mean by peer-reviewed sources? I'm not talking about online sources like www.religionfacts.com or buddhanet.org or whatever. I'm not looking for that. I'm looking for articles. I'm looking for books that will help you have a much more in-depth and knowledgeable understanding of what the material is about. Some of these online sources can allow you to have a good base knowledge, but they're not really, you can't always rely on them for accurate information. So I encourage you guys to go to peer-reviewed sources. And if you look on your syllabus, I've provided a resource for JSTOR, and then you guys are probably already familiar with JSTOR. JSTOR.org. It has a catalog of many peer-reviewed research material, articles that can really pinpoint what you are trying to look up for each of these essays and for the final essay as well. So what I'm expecting is at least 1 to come from our course reading. So whether it's the course reader or even Thich Nhat Hanh, and then 1 must come from outside of these readings as well. So not just what the things that I'm assigning you. I want you to start getting used to doing your own research and getting that material ready to go so that when it comes time for the final, you'll be well prepared on knowing how to do proper research. And then one final note that I want to point out for this assignment is I am looking for Chicago style for references. Now, some of you guys are not familiar with Chicago style. I know not many disciplines use it. I know my discipline kind of either uses MLA or Chicago style. I like Chicago style, and it's purely for my own selfish reasons. I like it because when I'm reading through your essays, I know exactly where you're getting your information from. So there's different styles of Chicago style. Some use endnotes, some use footnotes. I want to make sure, and this is important, be sure to use footnotes, not endnotes. Use footnotes. So at the bottom of each page, once you have that little number in the body of the essay, it'll correspond to the footnote on the bottom of each page. It shouldn't be the same footnotes for every page. So on the bottom of that page, the corresponding page of where that number is, you'll see an example. You'll see where it's from. And most importantly, in the footnote itself, you need to provide the exact page number. So if you're finding a book, a quote from Thich Nhat Hanh, I expect you to use the proper Chicago style reference. And if you find the quote from page 133, make sure at the end of that you put page 133. Don't just put the book and leave it out. Because if I'm trying to find that quote later on, if I say, this is a really interesting quote, I want to use this maybe for another essay that I'm going to be using as well, then I don't have to read the entire book to find it. I can know exactly where to find your quote in the book. So be sure to use Chicago style, use footnotes. I think that's all I have to say about that. But one thing to say in wrap up of these mini essays, I like these mini essays because it allows you to prepare for your final essay, which is worth a lot more than these 30 points. So these mini essays are just not only interesting for you guys to think about, but also it gets you prepared for the final essay. I'm giving you pretty much 5 chances to really improve on your writing and really nail it down in time for your final essay at the very end of the semester. All right, let's move on to the next assignment. So we'll also have weekly quizzes. Now these weekly quizzes are mostly based off of our lectures. So I'll have lectures, video lectures posted every week. I encourage you guys to take notes, use your workbook. It's really important. Use that workbook. Follow along when I'm giving the lecture, and then by the end of the week, I'm expecting you guys to finish the quiz. Now, the quiz is only 10 points each, and it's a combination of true/false questions and multiple choice. So if you go through the lecture, you'll be able to find where each of those answers are. And it's really important to you to follow the lectures. If you don't watch the lectures, it'll be difficult. If you only watch or look at the PowerPoints, you can maybe get by, but there's some stuff that I talk about that's not in the PowerPoint that might be beneficial for you to know. So make sure you watch the lectures, complete the workbook, and these quizzes will be a breeze. Another notice that I want to kind of point out is that there's a syllabus quiz. A syllabus quiz is due at the end of week 1. All right, it's worth 30 points. So make sure you guys read the syllabus. We're going through it right now. So if you've watched this video and you've read through the syllabus, you have no time. You have no problem doing well on this. It's pretty much a free 30 points or easy 30 points for you to get. Now for both of these types of quizzes, there's no time limit. So take as much time as you need to get the right answers, find the right answers. I want you to really get into the material. But they do have due dates. Make sure you follow the due dates. There's just no time limit for completing the quizzes themselves. Moving on to the next assignment, we have 3 sectional tests throughout the entire semester. These are based mostly on the lecture material as well as the workbook material, and this just gives you an opportunity to kind of look at the major themes, the bigger themes that we've covered throughout the semester, and it also shows me that you're retaining this information over a long period of time rather than just short period of time. So these 3 sectional tests are worth 50 points each. There'll be 25 questions, and you'll only have 30 minutes to complete it. So this test, or these tests, are indeed timed. So they're not going to be limitless. There'll be true, false, and multiple choice questions. And again, many of these questions, if not all, will be based off of questions you can find in the workbook. Again, another plug. Make sure you guys get the workbook, because as you go through the workbook, it'll make all of these tests and all of these quizzes so much easier to do well on. So 3 sectional tests, they're each worth 50 points, so that will add up throughout the semester. There's also a final essay that I want you to complete at the end of the semester. Now the essay should be approximately 2,000 words long. And I'm giving you a list of prompts that you can find on the syllabus. I think there's about 7 prompts that you can choose from on the syllabus. And so keep in mind, I'm giving you since day 1 of the entire semester to start looking at the prompts and even begin writing your essay. So I don't really expect any late assignments for this. So make sure you guys are looking at the lists of prompts, starting to think about some of the ideas that you want to maybe touch on in your essay as we go throughout the semester. And then make sure you're building on some of the articles and ideas that you want to kind of touch on as we go. You can use any of the material that we cover in class for the final essay. And I'm expecting at least 6 peer-reviewed sources for this one. For the other assignment, I only am expecting at least 2. But for this final essay, since it's such a much longer essay, I'm expecting at least 6 peer-reviewed sources, and they don't have to come from our course material, but they can. So all these articles that we've been kind of touching on throughout the entire semester, if you want to use those, that's fine. But I also want you to make sure you're finding some of your own as well. But I'm not going to put any restraints on how many from each category, whether it's inside or outside, that you need to select from. You can have all from outside or all from inside. It doesn't matter. You just have to have at least 6. Does that mean if you have 6, you're going to get an excellent on that category for your grade rubric? No. That's the minimum that I'm requiring of you guys. So make sure you guys find at least 6. Now, the other thing I want to point out too is for your final essay, please, 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 please write out the prompt at the beginning of your essay or on the title page, either one. The reason why I have this requirement or request is since I have 7 prompts and it's hard to really, I hate to say it, sometimes I start reading through the first couple of pages and I have no idea what some students are actually writing about. So it helps really, really for me and for you to clearly state at the beginning of your essay what prompt you're going to discuss. Now, some people just put a little synopsis of it. I don't want just a small synopsis. Write it out word for word. What is the prompt that you're going to discuss? So I want word for word the prompt, and this is for a couple of reasons. One, it allows me to know what you're writing about. That's important. And 2, it gives you another opportunity after you've written your essay or even thought about your essay to make sure that you're answering the prompt. So many times people read the first couple of words of the prompt and they think in their mind that they know what the prompt is about, and they base their entire essay on that idea of what the prompt is. But in reality, they're not even answering the prompt. Or they only read half of the prompt and forget the other half of the prompt. So sometimes there's multifaceted questions or aspects that I want you to consider, and it's important you answer all of them. Okay, otherwise you will be marked down. So it just gives you an opportunity to make sure that after you've finished writing your essay, go back and look at that prompt and say, have I answered every aspect of this prompt? And if so, good. If not, then maybe you need to do some revision. Now, if you would like feedback for any of your essays, whether it's the mini essays or the final essay, I'm asking you guys to, it's an opt-in policy. So if you'd like feedback, please say I'd like feedback. Otherwise, I won't give you any feedback. I'll just give you. I'll go through the rubric, and you can see where you have succeeded, or maybe where you've lacked in some areas. But I want to make sure that those people who would like feedback, I really want you guys to improve throughout the semester. So if you'd like feedback, or you'd like to have some understanding of what my thought process is when grading your essay is, then I'm more than happy to do that. But if you don't really care, I understand. I'm not going to waste your time, and I'm not going to waste my time by providing feedback. So you have the option for feedback. I always encourage people to use it. But if you don't really care, if you're just doing this for the GE and you're just trying to finish the class, I completely understand that as well. So the syllabus is where you can find the due date for this final essay. It won't be until the end of the semester though, so keep that in mind. But start early. I always encourage you to start early because things will catch up to you quickly. I also have the opportunity for extra credit. There are 3 options available to you, and each of them are worth 15 points. The first option is for you to visit a Buddhist temple. And that will give you an opportunity to really gain some perspective of some of the ideas and some of the concepts, and even the religious aspect of what we've been talking about throughout the semester, and put them into context, into a real context of place and people. So I want you to visit a Buddhist temple if you have time. And if you do that, then there will be a write-up section. I'll talk about that in a little bit. The write-up is about 1,000 words or 4 to 6 pages, and I want you to kind of talk about what you experienced, as well as how does it relate to some of the ideas and the concepts that we covered in the class. Now, I have a more detailed explanation of this assignment in the syllabus, so I encourage you to read the syllabus. But the second option that I want to point out is for you to interview a Buddhist monk or leader. Now, this could be male or female, or wherever. But I want you to interview one and talk to them about their experiences, their understanding, maybe how it relates to other schools of Buddhism, how it relates to their life, how they view their understanding of it. So you can come up with your own interview. But I want you to interview a Buddhist leader, ask questions that you think are interesting, or ask questions that you find that you would want to have more understanding about. And hopefully you can get some really enriched conversations developing, and maybe a more developed understanding of Buddhism as a whole. Now, when you submit this write-up, again, I'm looking for about 1,000 words, 4 to 6 pages. When you do this write-up, I don't just want transcripts. So don't just say, I said this, Buddhist monk said this, I said this, Buddhist monk said that. No, I want you to put it into a narrative. Give it some context, give it some flow, give it some a little bit of style to it. I want to enjoy reading it. I don't want to just feel like I'm reading he said, she said kind of thing. Now, the final assignment that I'm allowing you to do for extra credit is a film analysis. Now, this is one of my favorite ones to read because I always like to see where people go with this assignment. But I want you to use your ability to look at some of the themes and ideas that we cover in this class and apply it to some things that are outside of our class. And a lot of times this can be found within film. You'll find that I give a lot of film references throughout this semester. And what I mean by film is I'm talking about popular culture film, pop film. And then these are I'll give lots of references throughout the semester that talk about Star Wars, one of my favorites, Matrix, another one of my favorites. There's lots of them that are out there. And I want you in this assignment to draw upon the themes that are found within these movies and apply them to some of the concepts that we find in Buddhism as well. It's pretty easy. I've had a lot of variety of films that have been discussed in this assignment. So like I said, The Matrix, Star Wars, oh gosh, doing a mind blank right now. Groundhog's Day. Some people do Groundhog's Day. That's a great one. Doctor Strange. I've had some. There's that one where Matthew McConaughey goes into space and stuff. There's lots of them out there. That's what I'm looking for. Try to avoid documentaries because that's too on the nose. And I want there to be some creative flow and process going on within it. Lucy is another example of it, and where you kind of see how the mind and the Buddhist ideas kind of come into the picture. So those are some of the assignments that I'm looking for extra credit. If you want to see the due date, you can look at the syllabus. You can find it in there. So let's do a grade breakdown for all of our assignments throughout the semester, so that way you guys know how many points are expected of you for the entire semester. So we have 5 mini essays. Each of them are worth 30 points, so that's 150 points. We'll have 14 weekly quizzes, equaling 140 points total throughout the semester. 3 tests at 50 points each, that's 150 points. 1 syllabus quiz, which is easy, 30 points, and then a final paper, which is worth 200 points. So that's a big chunk of your grade as well. So totaling out to be 670 points. Now, as you go throughout the entire semester, I encourage you, highly encourage you, to keep track of your own points and your own grade. Don't always rely on Blackboard to give you the accurate understanding of what your grade is. So Blackboard does do a good job of totaling your points throughout the semester. So as you go throughout the semester, look at how many points you've earned. You can find those on Blackboard, and then divide that to the number of points that we have completed so far in that semester. So please try to keep track of your own grade. If there's any discrepancies that come up, please let me know. Now, at the end of your syllabus, you'll also see an outline of the entire semester. Be sure to keep tabs of that outline. That syllabus will really help you keep track of what's going on throughout this semester. So follow that, follow that, follow that. It's really important. Disclosure of disabilities. If you have any disabilities, please be sure to contact the Student Disability Service, or if you're differently abled or have any kind of learning needs, please contact them. And through them, and as well as with your own contact with me, let me know how I can better serve you in different ways. So this is your responsibility, not mine. I don't know. No one gives me any information about this unless you give it to me. So if you have any special needs, let me know. Now, a quick note about academic honesty and decorum. Now, unfortunately, this happens. Every semester, I usually catch 1 or 2 people committing plagiarism. Now, I take it very seriously. So if you are caught committing plagiarism, which is using information that is not yours, that is not your idea, or using papers that you've used for another class, I use Turnitin software, so it's pretty good at catching it, but I'm also pretty good at catching it myself, even without the software. So if I notice things are a bit fishy, I'll look into it. If the evidence is pointing clearly that you are committing plagiarism, then I will give you a 0 for the assignment. So if there's any time when you receive a 0 for an assignment, I usually have a note on there, please contact me. It's usually because I'm finding that there's some major problems with the amount of information that you're not using that's your own. Now, again, I expect you to do research, of course, but and that doing the research itself will bring your plagiarism report up to a certain level. Now, usually you're pretty good if you're under 30% and you get that plagiarism report back from Turnitin. If you're over 30, it starts raising some flags, and I'll start looking a little more closely about at your work. So I encourage you not to freak out if you see your plagiarism report is up to like 20, 25 or whatever. But if it's over 30, it starts raising some red flags. I've seen some up to 90 or 99%. That means you pretty much just stole completely. And you will receive a 0. And I expect some sort of explanation after I've sent you a memo on your assignment. So keep that in mind. The other thing that I want to talk about as well is late assignments. This is also a major problem. And in the past, I've allowed it with a penalty, but this after now, I'm not going to accept any more late assignments. So this means that you're going to have to plan ahead. Know and expect technological problems. Plan ahead and make sure that you can resolve all those things. And this means you're going to have to start early on your assignments, and don't wait until the last minute to try to turn it in. That will backfire. I'm letting you know this right now. It will backfire. This goes for all assignments, quizzes, and writing assignments. So if you are on the verge of not getting it in, that's you're setting yourself up for failure. So I encourage you, plan ahead. Now, a lot of people might ask, is there any way that I can make it up? And that's where the extra credit comes back in. So I do offer a lot of extra credit. That's the opportunity for you to make up any missed assignment, including late assignments, because like I said, I won't count it. Now, this is really important because if you turn in your final paper late, I'm not accepting it. That means you have to plan ahead. This is also why at the end of the semester, I have a large gap in between my writing assignments. It's allowing you to start preparing for your final essay. So make sure you plan ahead and get it done early. Don't wait until the last minute. All right. Now, I also want to point out some student resources that are available to you. Of course, Blackboard is going to be our primary way of communicating and interacting with this course. There's many different styles of using Blackboard. The style that I use works well for me, but I'm always open to new ideas, new concepts. I try to structure it and organize it as clearly as possible, but always it's a difficult thing to really try to get across as clearly and neatly as I'd like it to be. I also really encourage you guys to visit the library. Not only do they have a rich selection of books and resources available to you, but one of the best resources they have are reference librarians. They are so valuable to you and to the school. I encourage you to use them to your best ability. They can really help guide your research and point you out to things that you've never thought about accessing or considering for research for your essays. Please use them. Writing Center. For those of you who are not very gifted with writing, I understand it. But we do have resources available to you through the school. So make sure you guys utilize the Writing Center. And then we already mentioned disability services. Be sure to use those disability services as well. Veteran services. If you are a veteran, please know that there are services available to you. And there's a whole slew of academic resources that you could use, student resources that you could use. So I provided a link for that as well. That's for your academic success. And then probably the most important resource you have is me. So if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. If you have any issues or things that come up in your lives, contact me. We can work on how to best facilitate your success in this class. But keep in mind, I do like to protect my family time. So weekends and evenings, I may not get back to you right away. But feel free to contact me, and I'm sure we'll make sure that this class is as beneficial for you as you need it to be. So with that said, I'd like to welcome you to this class, say thank you for choosing this class, and I am really looking forward to reading all of your essays.